We are an agency, a task force, a mission that many of you will never have heard of. And we need you to know about us because we're a whole of government effort. And our efforts are all aimed, well, primarily aimed, at convincing non-Australians about the benefits of doing business, living, working in Australia. So that's not new. I know that DFAT, who is here, and certainly Austrade, who are either here or maybe listening, has certainly been at that for a very long time. And personally, all of my public service experience up until this point was primarily about promoting Australia offshore. So this is very much on my home turf as well, and as an opportunity to do the sort of things that maybe I didn't get to do when I had a lot more scrutiny from ministers, secretaries, and other departments. So I will start off. So the Global Business and Talent Attraction Task Force, which is a huge mouthful, and was set up in September of last year. We are a 2-year surge effort, which would make sense if we'd started in June of last year because we're finishing in June of next year. So it's less than 2 years. And we have 2 years to meet our KPIs, and then they'll make a decision about whether or not we get to exist or we get folded into something else. So I wanted to talk to you about not only what we do, how it affects your business and the way that we promote ourselves, not only overseas but also domestically, and what I feel that our role is as communicators for the task force is to be aggregators of all of your content. So all of your work that works in a way that tells a good story about Australia, we are using through our own comms, through our website and our social media. So the Prime Minister decided to set up this 2-year surge effort and that it would be a whole of government task force. He, interestingly, put it in Home Affairs. He then decided we were going to partner with a number of agencies, most fittingly with Austrade. So Austrade, as you know, has a remit of not only attracting foreign direct investment, but also for promoting Australian export overseas. DFAT similarly promotes Australia overseas. So we are working closely with those agencies to help lift the profile of Australia, not only as, yes, a lifestyle destination, which obviously Tourism Australia has got wrapped up in usual times, but also as a destination for business. So marketing us as the smarter country, the country where you want to bring your business and bring your career. One of the reasons it was based in Home Affairs is because we do visas. And at the end of the day, unless you can get a visa, you're not coming here. And the challenge is, at the moment, you may even have a visa and still not be coming here. So how do we rectify that? Obviously, we've been set up to help build economic prosperity and recover from COVID. But COVID is our major problem as far as not only getting people in, but convincing people overseas that actually our borders are open, you can come and you can make a life here. So the task force mission, okay. So this is our remit and where we fit into all of the other agencies. Recruiting talent. So we are recruiting people who are exceptionally talented. So our slogan at the moment is exceptional opportunities, which I'll tell you the challenges with that. I'll come back to that one. But recruiting talent who are in the top 1% of the sort of people that we need to help build economic prosperity. Therefore, we're talking about astrophysicists, people with 3 PhDs, people who need to fit in with the space industry, with defence industries, people who are desperately needed in quantum computing, people we don't already have. So this isn't to work against any of the sort of the pathway to developing the skill sets within Australians, and it's not to dislodge Australians from having jobs. It's to add to our ecosystem and to complement the skill sets we already have with people from overseas who are basically superstars in their own right. These are the top 1%, and our target is to get 1,000 of them, which you wouldn't think would be difficult. Yes, we have border closures. We also have something called the Global Talent Visa. So the Global Talent Visa was put together to assist these people come to Australia if they qualify. And if they qualify, they get a fast-track visa. They actually get permanent residency. We're competing with Canada, Israel, Singapore, Germany to a certain point, and countries like Sweden and Holland who are doing exactly what we're doing as the competition for exceptional talent and business intensifies around the globe. One of the big push factors, yes, was COVID, particularly in the last year, and also Brexit, and also political uncertainty in the US last year, maybe not as much now. And these are sort of push factors of why people want to come to Australia. We've always had people wanting to come to Australia, and we haven't been able to take everybody. This is a certain subset of that skilled migration of the 1,000. At the same time, we're also looking for business, not just small businesses, not even small businesses. We want businesses who are going to generate $100 million. We want businesses who are going to employ mass amounts of Australians, who are going to set up here. So foreign direct investment, that is not about sending money here or buying up things, it's about setting up here. So set up and succeed is our slogan, which I'm sure could be very useful. Apart from enterprises, policy reform. So I know some PM&C officers are here today as well. We're working very closely with them and with Treasury as far as identifying through industry what are the blockages to get those companies here to help fill those critical supply chain gaps and critical skills gaps. And so we've been able to work with Treasury to get quite a few initiatives through, particularly in the recent budget, that are very helpful, and we can promote offshore, that there's now tax offsets and there's different incentives and grants that will make us more attractive.
There has never been a better time to seize your Australian opportunity. Australia is on the hunt for exceptional global talent and top-tier businesses. We have a bold blueprint for creating quality jobs and supporting future-focused industries. Thanks to our swift response to COVID-19, we're open for business. And according to head of the US National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, Dr. Anthony Fauci, Australia leads on COVID-19 and is a model for success. Australia is a nation of trailblazers with a rich culture of innovation and creativity. We're the home of the world's largest lithium-ion battery, and we're building the world's largest solar farm. Our clean green food and fibre have set new standards and are in demand across the world. We're turning waste into energy as a first mover in the circular economy. People with vision, talent and drive flourish in Australia. And now there's an express gateway for eligible businesses and individuals who can make a significant contribution.
The big advantage of this Work Talent Visa is that we provide globally talented people with residency. This is not about coming in, coming out. It's about forming a relationship with Australia, setting down roots in Australia, and building friendships.
It takes only 2 weeks or 3 weeks for me to get the visa. It's really simple and it's really fast.
Also, I see how welcoming Australia is for people from all different countries.
If you're a specialist in your field, you can make it big in Australia, you can go over the dreams.
I really enjoy everything like living in Australia. It's the work-life balance, I would say.
We also have great tourism and a fantastic culture, so everything comes together to make it a very good place to work.
The Global Business and Talent Attraction Task Force will help you hit the ground running. For businesses, we'll help you relocate or expand into Australia. We'll coordinate the relocation of your executives, critical staff and their families. And we'll connect you to essential industry and professional networks. You'll have access to our world-class research and incentives, with multiple launchpads and established industry ecosystems to help kickstart your success story. What are you waiting for?
Okay, the obligatory corporate video, which obviously needs recutting, might take out Anthony Fauci, bit of an issue there. Anyway, as I watch it again, I think, we have on our website a page that talks about our COVID success. We renamed that to talk about emerging from COVID, and I think today we're recutting it once again to talk about something else. And look, this is a real challenge because we really marketed our COVID success and we really put it out there. And we were enjoying all of that and comparative success. However, now we're not there. And this is a huge problem because at the moment we've got a huge amount of marketing and advertising offshore in market, and we're competing with negative press that tells people that not only are we locked down, but our vaccines are way behind world standard as far as a rollout, which means, are you then going to go to the ad next to that article and click here? So this is a huge challenge for us. We're actually pausing some of our advertising for the next 6 weeks because when Melbourne went into lockdown last year, it didn't affect us as much. Sydney goes into lockdown and it's headlines. Plus the fact it's summer in Europe, everybody's out and about and they don't really seem to care if, millions die. They're very happy to be doing this. And perhaps we were a bit smug last year as well. We were putting out a lot of social media about, hey, Hamilton's open here. What's happening with you, New York? And it all comes back. So we are faced with a lot of issues that we're dealing with, one of which is dealing with a whole lot of sectors. And here it comes. So who are we aiming for and what do we want to do? We want everyone. And it gets bigger. And every time we turn around, there are more industries. Oh, look, there's some more. There we go. So we started with 4. We were just going to do advanced manufacturing, financial services and fintech, and I'm thinking clean energy. It's so long ago, I couldn't tell you. Now we're doing everybody. We want everybody at any stage, and if you've got money, you should come here. So we're looking for entrepreneurs, academics. We're looking for people who have got startups. So it has been a huge learning curve for all of us, and I know previously, having worked on quite a bit of COVID crisis last year, it at least is a very positive thing to do, to be selling our achievements. So yes, there's quite a few areas there that are going to cut across all of your work, and this is how we are aggregating the best of Australia, what our achievements are. So if it's in industry, then we're looking at the Modern Manufacturing Initiative and strategy, all the money that's behind that. The film industry is another one because obviously we've had a huge amount of success in getting people here during COVID because of our COVID success, and also because there's a 30% offset for locations. So if you come here, literally the government gives you a lot of money back. And one of our great achievements in the budget is the fact we've now been able to push through the same measure for the digital games industry. So I'm suddenly an expert on video games, and I can tell you quite a bit about video games that I didn't know before, but it is a huge billions and billions of dollars in great potential in Australia. So them having a 30% tax offset also will attract those large studios to come here, primarily to eastern states, it's true, but at the same time, there's enough industries there that are all over the country, so we're fairly confident that we're working very closely with the states on that one. Now, I'm going to show you quite a bit of our collateral, and I've left some here for you to take. It comes with a health warning. Avert your eyes if you have a problem with purple. Righto. So the idea when we started was to not look government. And I'm not being critical of any of your efforts, but we wanted to have a cut through where people would be attracted to look at it, and it didn't look like corporate websites that we all have, right? Because we're something different. We are very careful to use the Australia, very carefully, the R with a kick, which is part of Nation brand. Originally, when we started, we agreed with Austrade we would use the green and gold Nation brand. I think many of you would have seen. That's going through some changes, and we've gone through a number of ministers, and the minister at the time decided not so much. So we've developed our own branding, and this is what it looks like. We found it's actually pretty cut through. The language we use is not generally government language. It's fairly tabloid, to be honest, but it is direct advertising speak, and that's the way you'll see that our website appears. All of the wonderful agencies that have contributed to our website and cleared our various fact sheets, you will find the language not consistent with your own, but the facts are correct. We have a different style and a different tone, and necessarily so. One thing we are doing, particularly in Chinese markets, is making sure that we have an Australian government initiative and the crest, because we found in some markets they get a bit confused that they think we're a migration agent wanting money. And we found we've got a couple of migration agents offshore who have actually changed their name to ours. So we had to buy up a couple of different URLs. So we're globalaustralia.gov.au, there's globalaustralia.com and .com.au. We had to buy them all. So, because immigration is a really lucrative industry, and if you've ever looked at the number of visas that are on offer, and this is no disrespect to my Home Affairs colleagues in the room, it is mind-bendingly difficult and complex for someone outside of this country to know what to apply for and what they're eligible for. So they do use migration agents at great cost. And we need the migration agents to be better educated about what the offering is, so they don't make people go down a path that's expensive and, quite frankly, a waste of time because they're not eligible. What the task force does is step in to this. So the Global Talent Visa Program, which is operational through the Department of Home Affairs, does a very quick triage, and we have global talent officers from our task force that are based in various locations at Australian embassies overseas, where they are actively out recruiting people and businesses. We're working very closely with Austrade. I know I went very quickly past all of the whole of government agencies we're working with. We have secondees from Defence, from education, from industry, and half of us are from Austrade. So we're working across government to utilise and leverage all of those comms and all of those great success stories. So when we see things, for instance, in Defence, and we did tag you yesterday in LinkedIn, so you should have just reposted that one. That was about recruiting Defence technicians and all of those skill sets that Defence is looking for in industries. So not military officers, but in industries. So our website, as you'll see, there's the recent arrivals page, is constantly changing. It is a full-time effort keeping up with it. You will see most of your industries there through different pages. That is all content that has been contributed through agencies and cleared, and then rewritten to be a little funkier. The ad you'll see there with the Chinese lady was actually for Chinese diaspora in Australia. We're not targeting the Chinese mainland, we're targeting Hong Kong and Taiwan. So we are looking for diasporas, and actually that was a very short and limited advertising campaign that has actually yielded better results than things we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on. Ads in the Chinese, Australian Chinese Daily, and also Facebook and Twitter. So these other, the other tiles, we produce a lot of social media tiles, and we really encourage people to share them. So when there's a very good report that suddenly says we're doing well, or we get, whether it's the OECD or KPMG or any of these sort of internationally recognised bodies, including the UN, we will go out and spruik that. And it goes into our body of evidence to back up our, what we hope, are clear and compelling arguments about why Australia. So this is all in coordination with DFAT and Austrade, so we are on message, but we're trying to be a bit more cut through about why you should come here and why now, or why you should come here at the end of September. So we're rated #1 by the, for global talent attractiveness by the OECD. Fantastic, we'll stick that out there. So what we found is with our branding as well, sometimes some agencies don't want to use that, and so they cut off the bottom third. That's fine, we're all promoting Australia. We've also starting to develop some assets that just have the Australia on it. So they don't necessarily link to our URL, but our marketing push and our call to action in everything we do is go to the website. Once they get to the website, they might have an idea of what we are, and then there's 2 buttons on every page, which you'll see there in blue and purple, of course, which express an interest. And so our KPIs are about clicking to our website, getting onto those forms and having a look, and then with any luck, expressing an interest and saying, yeah, I might actually be interested in this visa, or I'm interested in bringing my business here. And then you'll get a follow-up from the task force, or it might be with Austrade, because you're offshore and it's much easier to talk to an embassy. So, more purple. Okay, so yes, the digital game, we had a lot of fun with that, because we'd just gone and obviously done fact sheets and social media materials and website pages for advanced manufacturing and all very important industries, and then we got to have a bit more fun. Also film obviously lends itself to a bit more creativity. But what you'll see there as well, an ad we did which actually animates, this was for looking for coders, basically tech people. And what are tech people? They speak one language, which is code, and we had JavaScript and another language which I couldn't tell you because I didn't understand it, and some people did say to me, I think your website's broken because why is there, it looks like it's not MS-DOS, it's actually code, and then we had coders telling us it was brilliant. And those ads ran last year in the US with very simple messaging, and you can see the task force isn't on it because we couldn't even fit our name there. But it doesn't matter, it's about Australia and we're government, and click here and we want you. If you're a coder and you're a certain, software engineer or somebody who's high up in the tech industries, there's a good chance we need your skill, and you may actually get a visa. So not just US people, what we found was they're third country nationals. So they're Indian and Chinese and a whole lot of other nationalities who are not on permanent visas in the US, working in Silicon Valley, working in Texas and New York City, which is where all the tech hubs are. So we geo-targeted it to them on Stack Overflow, which apparently is what coders use, and I know this now, and also other usual social media where these people are looking. And that was actually quite successful, and again, wasn't a huge amount of money. But all of this takes me and my team, which up until now has been me and one other, so David, we're coming hunting for your people, it really stretched us because it's a bit beyond anything I've ever had to do before. But the freedom to do it and to be as creative as we want has been, quite rewarding as well. So where we rank in livable cities, global cities for entrepreneurs, we're going to keep punting that out. We encourage DFAT to use our material, particularly at overseas posts. We have not set up a whole lot of social media channels because we recognise that if, this whole, and apologies DFAT, digital by default, which I think you'll understand what I'm saying, approach doesn't work when you're a 2-year surge. There is no point setting up social media channels from scratch and hoping to get an audience when we know that Austrade and DFAT overseas have enormous reach. And if you're interested in Australia, that's where you're looking. You're not going to look at whatever this task force thingy is. So we rely on those agencies to give us that amplification. And our global talent officers work with Austrade at those posts, and they have their own followings because, hey, everybody wants a visa, so, they get a lot of friend requests. I now get friend requests from people who also want a visa, and I can't grant one. So the only social media channel we did set up was LinkedIn. And the reason for that is, one, coming from Home Affairs, we traditionally are, a bit risk averse when it comes to social media. We don't want to be trawled. We don't want to be having a huge negative outcome, and quite frankly, it was me and one other. So we decided on LinkedIn because it's a business networking tool. The other great thing about LinkedIn is when you sign up to LinkedIn, and those of you that put on your resume, you've basically surrendered all privacy. So there are great tools with LinkedIn where you can geo-target, this person works in the space industry, they've got a job title that is of interest to me, they're from a country that's of interest to me, and our marketing is very precise. And those poor people get absolutely spammed with our advertising. But they get advertising that is for the space industry. Space industry professional, we want you, look at us, we're going to talk about low Earth orbits, I'm learning. If you're in manufacturing, we've got another sort of set of messages. So we're doing that. We're also using LinkedIn. We have another team that uses LinkedIn to basically message people that you can find. LinkedIn actually has amazing capabilities, if you're willing to pay for them, that will give you their databases of who does what where. And so when you're looking at job skill sets, for instance, at the moment, we've got one ad that's out in market at the moment is going for nanotechnologists and a whole lot of other skill sets I don't quite understand, but it's digital technologies and quantum computing. And as you saw, we got plenty of interviews with people in quantum computing because most of them that are here in this country are on this visa. So there's whole labs of them, all in clusters. So universities also reach out to us and say, we're trying to build a capability in this. We know that Mr. A, B and C in these countries would be excellent to work in our lab, and therefore we encourage them to apply. And we know they need to be nominated and endorsed, and the uni does that. And then we get that astrophysicist or yet more quantum computing people who are all doing something incredibly important. So, the fact sheet. We have many fact sheets. They are here. Please enjoy the fact sheet. How do you put in, and it disappeared, how do you put in 250 words, what is the best thing about health and life sciences in Australia? It's really difficult. one thing we have managed to do, so is actually in one page say why Australia, why you should come to Australia, which is something I think in all my years at DFAT we were never able to do, and something we just didn't do. Austrade also has a lot of these materials, but we're trying to make things short and sharp so people will read them and people will take them. They're all on our website under news and resources. All our digital assets, our videos, which are now also on YouTube, all of our fact sheets are there electronically, and we encourage people to use them. We're also doing a lot of translations for all our posts. If they would like to translate it for us, we'll get them designed here. So yet more purple. I should say making the business case for Australia. It'll work out. Yeah, no, it doesn't work. Okay. Endorsements, third-party endorsements, incredibly important. This is Mike Cannon-Brooks, you probably heard of as the founder at Atlassian. We look for those endorsements of people who are important and are known overseas to say, it's fantastic, you should so come here. It's one thing to have visa recipients endorsing us, it's another to have someone like that who's really very influential. We have a number of fintechs at the moment who have gone unicorn, because I know about that. And when you go see, we believe in unicorns, that was my line. Unicorns are when your startup company hits $1 billion US in valuation before going to market. And these people have, so Afterpay, Atlassian, Airwallex is another one. These fintechs are huge. They don't actually employ a lot of people, but they're startups and they make a lot of money and they put money back into the economy, and that's what we're all after. So we've got a lot of Australian ones. For some reason, we're really good at this, and they're now exporting themselves to the world, which is great, and Austrade's very happy to promote them as part of that export push. So that's how we work together. We're also happy when we've got, as I say, good stats. There's a new no tax on employee shares when you leave your employment, another great initiative from the task force. It's now 28% cheaper to run trials here than in the US. Apparently we're an ideal test bed, and we market ourselves for that. And then it's all about appealing to the C-suite. So the C-suite, as I've come to understand, is anybody who's a CEO or a CIO or CFO and has a lot of power. You're not the board, but you're really, really important. So we figure overseas we've got two audiences. We've got talent who want to come here and make a decision for emotional reasons, and also have to possibly use a bit of what we call partner persuasion, because it's all right that I want to come here, but then I have to tell my husband, yes, the schools will be good, and I know it's the other side of the world, blah, blah, blah. So there's a whole lot of that backstory that needs to go with it as well, that you're not going to be cut off from the rest of the world, because it's a huge ask to ask people to come here. And then we give you a visa, and maybe it's really difficult to get on a flight as well. And then you come to a new country and you've got to negotiate Medicare and everything else. So it's a huge ask of people. Then you, I guess the other side of that, as I was talking about earlier, is our catch cry is exceptional opportunities, because we're just after exceptional people. When you ask for exceptional people, and I'm looking at an audience that's got a great female cohort, what happens is you get a skew to men, because men identify as being exceptional. In fact, they all are. And I apologise, my husband's here. So what we found is we're getting a skew. Far more men apply than women. Women just don't apply because they don't see themselves as exceptional. And it's called the imposter syndrome. And it's a thing. It's a thing where women will not apply for jobs that they only feel that they're 70 or 80% qualified for, and men will just fake it and go, yeah, I probably can do the rest of that. I haven't done it before, but that's fine. Because they've got that confidence to do it. And I won't give you a huge lecture about that, but it's a thing. So we realised very early on that exceptional opportunities was actually cutting out quite a bit of our audience. But this is what we're doing. And in a surge, you've got less than a year left. You know, how often are you going to change your messaging? So we decided to partner with an agency called the Dream Collective. The Dream Collective is a group in Sydney who mentor women primarily in science and tech, STEM industries. And they're also doing a major advertising offshore campaign to attract women to work in STEM in Australia. And they partner with global companies. And they said to us, your exceptional is not working for you. So if you go to our recent arrivals page, we're trying to get gender equity on the page. It's really hard. Because even when people do get the visa, they don't say yes to publicity if they're women. So we're going around at the moment filming around Australia, apart from Sydney, and it was really hard to find women to say yes to being filmed. The men are very happy to say how brilliantly they're doing, but the women don't want to. So that's a difficult thing. And some people from some certain countries also don't want to make a big fuss about the fact that they're here. So that makes us a little bit skewed as well in an ethnic diversity sense. So we're partnering with them in the She Dares campaign. And you can see there in the purple, God, they just came up with that on their own. We dare, she dares. It's her challenge. This is what she's taking up. So it's women leading the push to make changes in their lives and come to this country and possibly bring their families, if that's the case, and then enter these careers that we're saying we have great need of. So this is kicking off. It's also partnering with Amazon Web Services, which hopefully will be very useful, and kicking off in the middle of August. Again, because of Sydney lockdowns, we've been a bit delayed in that, mainly because the people putting it together are stuck at home and finding it very difficult to get some of their comms moving. So that was one partnership we were really proud to do, and we're partnering as far as supporting them, being supported by the Australian government. Bloomberg. So we were so proud of our Bloomberg partnership. They do fantastic work. The Bloomberg terminals, as you know, are used and have an enormous global reach to business people. So our other audience, being business decision makers, will only be coming to Australia if it makes sense at the bottom line. It's not an emotional thing. It's not about a great lifestyle. No surfing picture is going to convince them. If it doesn't make bottom line sense for your company to come here, you won't. And you cannot convince your board or your shareholders of the virtue of coming here unless you have all those stats available to back it up. And that is what we're referring to as the business case for Australia. And there'll be more coming out on that as it gets cleared by Treasury. So, the Bloomberg site, we entered into a partnership with Bloomberg. As I say, all the advertising is a new field for some of us. And FinTech was our first microsite. So it's got multimedia and social media, and it's getting great hits, and all talks about our FinTech industry. And if you have a look, there's a link on our homepage. Terrific visuals, very slickly done because we paid a lot of money for it. And we're going to do that for other sectors. The next one is health, which should have gone live next week. We don't really think now's the time to promote our health industry. So we're going to hold off on that a little bit. We're going to bring forward agri-food, critical minerals and clean energy. But this is something that Invest Victoria had done before and had a great success with, so we decided this might be a good plan. So alongside LinkedIn, where we're basically getting into people's phones and devices, this is getting into people's workplaces, where they're at work. So we're still assessing whether this is having a cut through or not, and maybe there's a bit of a lag time for that as well. More fact sheets. So our COVID success. Yes, we've been punting that out for a while. One of the things we found, originally when we were set up as a task force, it was on the back of an announcement about Hong Kong. So last year, as you know, there was unrest in Hong Kong and protests, and so the government decided it was going to extend visas for Hong Kong nationals who were here, and we would do a push into Hong Kong to try and capture that talented and rich cohort of people who were apparently queuing for the door. Most of them went to Britain because they have that particular passport that allows them to do so. They have cultural links, they have historical links. But believe it or not, it's our second highest cohort is coming now from Hong Kong. So our interest is coming from Hong Kong. We've done a lot of ads in language as well that they're using in Hong Kong and also Taiwan. We are not targeting the mainland at this point. But that doesn't stop people who are either coming through the Home Affairs website or they're seeing our stuff. We know the QR code is working, and it is certainly, we're getting a lot of people coming through that, and all our data analytics is showing us that, in fact, that's where people come from, is the QR code. So if they're seeing it online, I'm trying to convince people it doesn't really work online because you've got to put your phone up, it doesn't really happen, but somehow that's what they're coming from, so I lost that argument and it's on everything. I will finish with our latest project, which was, as I say, when the new initiative and incentive came through, the 30% offset for the digital games industry, and we all got very excited about digital games, it was decided to create a show reel of the best Australian digital games wizardry, mastery. This has been a rabbit hole from which I'll probably never recover. I really want to thank Defence because they contributed quite a bit of footage. We used some of it, which was more about what we're going to call serious games in the industry, which is about virtual reality and using digital games in a more expanded way to do not just recruitment. I know DFR does it, not that they gave us any video, but also to do things like training troops in the field. And there's a lot of that real-time VR stuff that obviously we couldn't use publicly because nobody wants that out there. But I will caution on the level of volume for this one and play it to you. Oh, no. Does that play? Sorry,
Tech support.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Here you go. Thank you. So that's the director's cut, as we're calling it. It's 2 minutes. The shorter cuts will be on social media. So we rushed this out for Trade Minister Tian had a Digital Games Roundtable in Los Angeles last week, and he premiered this on the equivalent of our Saturday morning to a whole range of, you know, Sony, Microsoft, Apple Games, all of those sort of players. So they're very happy with that. I'm really happy it's finished. And it's out there, and I really want to encourage, if it is in any of your powers, to share it, like it, repost it, make very nice comments about it. There is plenty of this sort of thing coming out. We seem to now have some sort of list of all these other show reels we're going to do, which doesn't make me that happy because that's a lot more work. But these are really basically what I'm thinking of as legacy and enduring products. And you'll see that the Australian Government initiative, although our URL is on it, it doesn't have task force branding because we do want it used by DFAT and Austrade and anybody else. And it doesn't matter whether people are coming to our website, it is promotion of this industry. And I know that this is effective because yesterday in Kotaku, which I'm told by my 18-year-old is a really cool, awesome online digital games publication, they actually said, begrudgingly, the Australian Government has actually done something good for once, which is high praise indeed. So I will leave you with, and not to dig into James's time, please go to our website, the News and Resources tab. All these things are downloadable. Please use them. repost them. I don't care if you edit them, but it certainly is the sort of messaging we're trying to get out. And for those who have overseas networks, obviously that is our prime audience. But we also want industry to understand what we're doing, and that to mitigate any of their concerns, they're going to be displaced or disadvantaged by other companies coming in. So we do a lot of stakeholder outreach in that space. We do promote things that are Australian and that are uniquely made here, such as the bunnies, which were all done in Sydney and filmed at Centennial Park, and we need to be proud about those particular achievements. So, and the studios have been very cooperative at giving us that vision and giving us those stills. And so we find that the industries generally are very, very grateful and do want to cooperate and do give us quite a bit of intel on what will work in those industries. So I will stop there because I'm digging into James's time, and I know it's been a long afternoon, but again, thanks to Defence for letting me speak.